Guys, Alan here from teacheradvisor.com, and today I'm going to give you 20 tips for teaching middle school students. Middle school, what I mean by middle school, first of all, I want to clarify is I'm talking about 7th and 8th grade for sure, and sometimes 6th grade, because it does depend on your school district. The school district I work for is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is considered middle school, and I'm actually currently teaching 8th grade, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is go through our list of, these are 20 of them. All right, so number 1 on the list is learn how to talk to them. If you're teaching middle school, if you've been teaching middle school, or if you're going to teach middle school, learn how to talk to them, especially I want to say especially 8th graders, because I taught 6th grade, I taught 7th grade, and now I'm teaching 8th grade. I've been teaching 8th grade for the last 3 years. I teach 8th grade science. And by the time they're in 8th grade, they want to be talked to differently, like using like those like cute voices and calling them sweetie and honey and being overly nice to them when it's just not necessarily, they just don't work anymore. What I find is while they're going to the 7th, especially into 8th grade, they're looking for a teacher that is going to respect them, talk to them as more of a young adult. And if you do that, you're just going to find that they're going to respect you more, which is important to them, especially, like I said, in 8th grade. So, you know, you want respect, they want respect as well, and usually that reciprocates. So yeah, make sure that you talk to them correctly, okay? All right, number 2 on the list, don't forget this, you are the authority, right? You don't have to claim authority. You don't have to go in there and tell them that you're the boss. You don't have to say, I'm the adult here. They already know you're adult. They already know you're a teacher. Just because you're a teacher and you're the adult, you're also the authority figure, right? So just don't lose that status as the authority figure, right? You could make positive relationships, respectable relationships with students, of course professional, but don't forget you are the authority in your classroom, right? So your role is different than their role. Don't be their friend. Be the authority in the classroom, take charge of the classroom, and you'll be okay. Number 3 on the list is always have a plan B. I always have to have a backup. I always have something. So like if I'm doing, let's say we're doing a unit on natural selection, I always make sure that if something goes wrong or I finish an assignment quickly, I always have something for them to work on. All right, so make sure that you have that just so you can keep them engaged, because once you lose them and once they're not engaged, you're going to run into problems. They're going to start to get talkative. They're not going to behave very well. So make sure you always have a plan B. Make sure you always have something for them to do or for you to do. Even if it's something as simple as, okay, there's 15 minutes left of class because I just got through everything early, as simple as some kind of reflection in their notebook. It'll help you get through that class period. It'll keep them engaged as well. Okay, so yeah, make sure you have a plan B. Number 4, in middle school, there is going to be drama. Just expect that. Again, I'm teaching 8th grade. There's drama every single day. Don't get pulled into it. Students will try to get you pulled into it. Don't take sides. Just stay out of it. Stay neutral. But to go into teaching any grade level, but I would think especially the higher grade levels, like between 6th and 12th grade, there's going to be drama. That's just, it's inevitable, right? Because kids are human. So yeah, but just kind of stay out of it. Stick to teaching, okay? All right, number 5 on my list is don't embarrass them. So don't embarrass the students. Students do not like to be embarrassed. At this time, when there's like a lot of identity issues and issues with like self-esteem, you do not want to embarrass them in front of their peers, okay? So under any circumstances, just don't do that. It's not good. They're gonna not like you for doing that. So don't embarrass your students, okay? Or at least try not to. They'll know, the difference. Number 6 on the list is reinforce the rules and regulations. I have to do this often with my 8th grade classes, but it's very worthwhile, because if you don't do this, if you only talk about rules the first day of school or the first week of school and you never talk about it again, they're going to forget those rules. You just constantly have to talk about what are those expectations, right? You don't need to use a Chromebook right now or your laptop. Put the screen down, right? You don't need any earbuds right now because we're not listening to music as part of the assignment. Take out your earbuds, right? So just keep doing that over and over and over. Eventually it'll start to sink in, and sometimes it doesn't, and just the whole year goes by like that. But at least you have you could make sure that your students are using their time to learn and not be constantly distracted. All right, number 7, this one's great. This one is challenge them. So this is what I mean by challenge them. Like sometimes I'll have students, they'll come into class and they'll say excuse me, they'll say, are we doing anything fun today? I never respond to them by saying, yes, we're doing something really fun today. Even if I think it's fun, I do not say that it's fun. I say that we're going to do something that's challenging. And by challenging, if they think that that's fun, that's up to them. But I always tell them we're doing something challenging, and which should be true, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that things shouldn't be fun. They should be fun, but they should be interesting, and they should be challenging. All right, number 8 on the list is you are going to be annoyed. There's no doubt about it. If you're teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you're going to be annoyed. The kids are going to annoy you. That's just how it goes, right? So you just have to do your best just to forget about it and just move along. And that's true for any grade level, right? It doesn't matter. So whether you're teaching probably college even, I would think you're going to be annoyed too. Number 9 on the list is always be fair, or at least try to be fair, or at the very least try to make it look like you're trying to be fair, okay? So just do the best you can with that, because other students pick up on that. If they see that you're not being fair to one student, they pick up on that, the audience, I call them. So be fair, okay? All right, number 10 on the list is procedures need to be repeated. I'm in a science classroom, I teach science, and procedures constantly need to be repeated. It doesn't matter on the grade level that you're in, but I know for sure in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, make sure that you're repeating procedures. And I don't mean just saying it over and over. What I mean is make sure that you have the procedures or what you want them to do. You're showing them like by writing it on the board. You're demonstrating it. You're saying it verbally so that students that aren't listening to you, they could at the very least solve that problem by looking at it on the board, okay? So at as many times as possible when you're giving instructions, make sure your instructions or procedures are, I always say, at least like 2 ways. So I at least try to like verbalize and tell them, and then I also reinforce that by putting it on the board, so that way they can problem solve on their own. Next one on the list is they move around a lot. Middle school students, they move around a lot. So, you know, there's a lot of like going to the garbage can and just kind of throwing something away just to get up and move around. And typically I'm fine with that, but just know that, you know, you're going to have to expect that to happen pretty often. Okay, not really a big deal, but it might become a distraction. You know, so you might have to tell students sometimes is, you know, wait until the end of the class period if you need to throw something away. Now is not the time. Those kinds of things. Number 12, they lose pencils. I wanted to show you this one, so I went and got a bunch of the pencils that I used or that I give to students that don't have pencils. Excuse me. So if you have a student that comes to class and doesn't have a pen or pencil, at least what I do, our school actually provides these, is we give them these golf pencils. So they're the small pencils like this. They don't have an eraser, right? So usually what I do is, so not distracting class, I just put these underneath my pencil sharpener back there, and then the students know that if they don't have a pen or pencil, they can just grab one of those. And then that way they're not distracting class. So it's an option, okay. Number 13, probably more so for 6th grade, I would think, 7th grade maybe, but students are still like a little bit scared of you. And I don't mean that like they're scared of you because you're really mean. What I'm saying is they're scared of you probably just because you're the authority figure. So they still have that respect for you just because you're the authority figure, or you're the teacher, or the parent is the parent. So go with that sometimes. If you know that they react, differently when you contact parents, well then go and contact the parents, right? If you know the parents are going to be upset with them, then contact the parent. Let them know what's happening in class. They'll tell their student, and hopefully their student will come to school better behaved, okay? So it works well. I remember doing this when I was teaching 6th grade. It works well because, you know, 6th graders, they tend to respect you a little bit more just because of the fact that you're a teacher. It starts to wear off, it seems like, though, as you go into 7th, 8th. I would imagine into high school, it kind of wears off, right? That respect has to be a little bit more earned by the teacher, okay? Number 14 on the list, I put 8th graders are cool. And what I mean by that is I really enjoy teaching 8th grade. I taught 6th and 7th. I think the thing that I like about teaching 8th grade is you can just go more in depth into like discussions during class. I could challenge them more. They're not as clinky, like they don't really want to hang around like where I am all the time, like the teacher and stuff, and you know, we kind of have our space between one another, and I don't know, I just kind of I like that, like they're just kind of okay going off on their own when class ends and not sticking behind and talking to me so much, and you know, they're kind of doing their own thing, so I enjoy that actually. Right, number 15, don't argue with them. Don't argue with them in front of your class. Because what's happening there is the rest of the class is observing the way you react to that student that is maybe misbehaving. So if you get into an argument with them and you start yelling, that just does not look good for you. It just looks like you don't know how to handle the situation. So don't argue with your students, right? Regardless of if you think you're right or how right you are, it doesn't matter. You'll have to fight that battle a different time, okay? So don't do that in front of your class. Don't argue with a student. It's just not worth it, okay? 16, this is a great one that I often overlook, and I underestimate how valuable just walking around the room actually is. As you're walking towards like the back of the room where you think somebody is doing nothing, and just by you getting close to them, you'll notice that like all of a sudden they like sit up and they're clicking like the correct website that they're supposed to be on. they get out their pen or they get out like their notebook and they start actually doing more work. So just walking around the classroom really makes a big difference, okay? If someone's being disruptive during class, all you could do sometimes is just walk over to their desk and they'll get the hint, right? Not always, but sometimes they do. They'll just get the hint, and or maybe when you walk past, you could just say something to them like, hey, let's focus on what we're doing for school right now, okay? 17, have a cell phone plan. That sounded odd. A cell phone plan. So what's your plan for cell phones? Most likely your school or your school district, they probably have a policy already in place. But my question to you is, what are you going to do when, and you can answer this in the comment section below, but what are you going to do when a student is in class and their cell phone goes off? Like it starts to ring or you hear them getting a text or something like that. What I recommend not doing, you can do whatever you want. This is what I don't do, is I do not freak out. I tell them mistakes happen. If it is an emergency, if it is an emergency, I'm okay with them texting, you know, or taking care of it real quick. If they have to text the parent or something, text them and put it away. And I also tell them that that might happen to me too, because I'm walking around with my cell phone as well. So sometimes, it actually happened already this year, one time where my cell phone, it started to ring in the middle of class. And, you know, I told them, not a big deal, those things happen, turn it off and put it away. So try to keep them, try to teach them responsibility and show them some flexibility as well. But again, check your cell phone policy for your school. When all else fails, just follow what your school policy is. That's probably the safe way to do it. 18 on my list is start off really strict. I know that I remember there was a teacher that told me, like when I was in college, a teacher that has taught for many years said that you should not smile before winter break, right? And I thought that was stupid. I thought it was crazy. I was like, what do you mean? Like, don't smile before winter break? That doesn't sound positive, or, you know, it doesn't sound very good. But I think the more experience I get, I think I start to understand like what they're saying. Maybe she didn't exactly mean don't smile, but she meant start off strict, make a good foundation of expectations in your class, and then as the year goes on, you can kind of back down from that. Not too much, but you can kind of feel out and see how much do you need to, you know, to back down off of those expectations. Number 19 on my list kind of contradicts one of the other ones that I said, but this one is to treat them like a child if they deserve it. If you have a student that deserves to be treated like a child, tell them that you're going to treat them like a child, because that's the way that they're behaving. When they start behaving like a 13 or a 14-year-old or someone that's getting ready to enter high school in the next couple of months, then you can start treating them differently. But if they're going to act like a child, treat them like a child. The last one on my list, number 20, is tackle the bad leaders. I don't mean actually physically tackling them. What I call them like the spark plugs, right? So usually if there's like a group of students in a class that's misbehaving, you know your students. You could pick out which are like the one or two that if you kind of neutralize them, call their parents, give them a detention, I guess like make an example of them, right? If you could do that, it's a little bit easier to get a hold of all the other students as well, the ones that are just kind of like following them, okay? Hey, listen, this is the end of this video. Before you go, if you liked the video, I would really appreciate it if you could just hit the like button. That's all I'm asking. I'm not gonna beg you to subscribe and all those things that everyone does these days, which is don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I don't need that. I just want you to like the video just so I know that, you know, what you're getting from this is helpful, right? And if you're a teacher, which you probably are, or you're going to be a teacher, I really want to hear from you. So in the comment section, let me know what you think of these. I don't care. Even if you disagree with something, I'm fine with that, right? So whether you agree, disagree, or if you have some new ideas, if you teach middle school, that would be awesome. If you could add it to the comments below, and we can kind of make a community there. I respond to comments all the time, so I hope I hear from you guys, okay? And girls, right? All right, bye. Shut this thing off now. Here we go. See you.